were told to work hard, save a little money, retire at 65, and that this is freedom, they said. But what do you call it when, after 40 years of exhausting labor, all that ends up in your hands is just a small pension? You were not born into this world to serve others until you die. You were not born to watch life slip through your fingers while you sell your soul for a paycheck. The world does not reward the obedient. It rewards the one who notices the trap and escapes it. And that person begins right here. Listen carefully, because if you miss this message, you may work until the grave and still die poor. You believe you are free, don't you? You believe that hard work will surely pay off. You believe that one day, maybe after 40 years of sacrifice, if you stay loyal, save money, and comply with the system, you will receive your reward. But I must tell you without apology that if 40 years of labor only results in dependence on someone else, then who is the true owner of your life? I have seen this again and again. I have seen men who devoted their entire youth to a job, looking at the calendar at 65 years old, with tired bodies, trembling hands, and eyes afraid that their money will run out. They followed every rule, stayed quiet, did what they were told, worked, waited, and when the waiting ended, there was nothing waiting for them. I ask you again, who really owns the life of a man who gives his life away piece by piece every payday, uncertain, unfree, and forgotten? You must understand this deeply. Slavery never ended. It only changed form. The chains are no longer made of metal. They are made of routine debt, low expectations, and unquestioned beliefs. They told you that if you follow the system, it will work. But what they did not tell you was that the system was designed not to make you rich, but to make you useful to someone else's wealth. I will not soften my words. I am not here to comfort you. I am here to wake you up, because until you see the truth of your situation, you will never walk freely. You will waste your years and call it responsibility. You will praise the men who enslave you and call it a career. You will wait for a retirement that barely pays the rent and call it security. This is not a tragedy. This is a choice, and if you are brave enough, you may not have made that choice. Now in this talk I will give you the laws the rich learn while others sleep. I will explain exactly how Carnegie, Rockefeller, Schwab, Ford, and Lincoln rose from nothing, not by coincidence, not by favoritism, but by alignment with universal laws and obedience to principles. You will learn that working alone will never make you free, that retirement is the reward of the obedient, not the free, that schools are designed to produce workers, not leaders, that your job is not a plan, but only a placeholder, how the rich obey invisible spiritual laws the poor ignore, how your daily habits build the prison you call life. That waiting is the enemy, and movement is the remedy, and how the man who refuses to serve eventually becomes the one who gives orders. You will answer these questions. What is my life really producing? Did I confuse obedience with purpose? Why did I delay building wealth for so long? What must I quit immediately? What must I repeat every day until my freedom becomes real? If you are honest, truly honest, you will realize you are not free, yet not yet. But if you stay with me, listen to every word, repeat what I teach, and apply it meticulously, you will lose nothing. You will build a life that fits you. And let me say this clearly. The chains are in your habits. The key is in your mind. And this is your final warning before time decides for you. Now affirm this out loud. I refuse to spend my life working and die poor. I was born to own, not to obey. Now let us move to the first chapter. Working alone will never make you free. You were taught that labor is virtuous. You were told that hard work is the only solution. You were told that if you just get a job, stay late, serve well, and keep your head down one day, you will rise. But the truth is, working alone will never make you free. You can sell your power to someone else's dream for 40 years and still die nameless. You can give your best decades to a factory, a company, an office, and still retire in scarcity, looking at the calendar and the checkbook with the same fear. I am not speaking against work. I am speaking against misdirected loyalty. A man who works without thinking is no better than a machine. A human who works without purpose is no freer than a mule, and a person who works without ownership, no matter how great he is still a slave. Let me teach you the difference between labor and wealth. Labor is the effort of the body, and wealth is the control of thought. Most people sell their hours to someone else's vision because they never understood this law. Money obeys not time, but thought. A person can spend their entire life giving labor and be passed by the thinker who dares to build a system. One digs the pit, the other sells the shovel. So who do you think gets rich? The poor man always points to the effort. I worked hard. I came to work every day, he says. But he does not understand that the reward does not go only to the one who comes. The reward goes to the one who creates leverage, to the one who, with definite thought, creates something that works even without him. Andrew Carnegie worked once and profited forever. He did not just swing a hammer in a steel factory, he designed an empire. He built a system of processes, people and materials that multiplied while he slept. He used his mind to organize people with skill and vision, and from that moment his ideas earned far more than a single day's labor could ever earn. This is the secret. The worker can never learn. The mind is the only true wealth factory. But you were trained differently from your youth. You learned to associate hours with income. You learned to believe that your value depends on how much time you give. But time is the poor man's currency. It is the only thing you can never get back. And every time you trade it for someone else's dream, you are selling the only thing that truly belongs to you. The truth is, people were trained not to think, but to work. They were trained not to build, but to obey. And now they wonder why they work a lifetime and gain nothing. This is not injustice. This is programming, and it must be broken. You cannot continue to believe that more effort will bring more freedom. It will not. What brings freedom is ownership. Ownership of thought. Ownership of systems. Ownership of purpose. Until you stop working blindly and start working with determination. You will always trade your life for crumbs. Listen to me. The man who can never escape hourly work dies a slave. Whether you wear a suit or swing a hammer, it makes no difference. If you are selling your time for wages without a bigger plan, you are just a more expensive slave. But there is a way out. There is a new law to obey, a new identity to create, and everything starts here. Now affirm, speak powerfully. I am not selling my life for crumbs. My work builds ownership, not dependence. This is the beginning of your freedom. But if you stop here, you will return to the same old cell. So let us move forward. Second chapter, the retirement lie, the reward of slaves. You were told to wait. Wait until your 60s work when you are young. Save a little sacrifice today to enjoy tomorrow. And when tomorrow comes, you are tired. You are broke, and your freedom is nothing but a memory of something you never lived. Retirement is a lie given to slaves, so they will not rebel. The truth they never told you is this: you are not saving for freedom. You are saving to delay collapse. The whole structure was based on the assumption that you would obey until you were too weak to question it. They gave you enough security to prevent you from escaping, enough hope to prevent you from wanting, and enough fear to keep you working. I say this without apology. The man who waits until 65 to start living never lived in the first place. Do you think so? Is retirement a reward? No, it is a leash. They call it a pension. I call it permission to survive. You were never meant to reach your final years with fear in your chest and a calculator in your hand. This is not freedom. This is punishment. And the only crime you committed was trusting a system that was never built to set you free. Let me show you how wealth works. Not the illusion, but the formula. Real wealth is not accumulated. It is not restricted. It is not distributed at the end like a reward for obedience. Real wealth is built through value. It is the byproduct of thought, decision, and the courage to step off the production line. Look at Henry Ford. He did not reach millions by accumulating. He did not work for someone else until 65. He created something that multiplied without him. He built systems. He saw opportunity where others only saw work. And because of this, his wealth worked while he slept. This is the difference between the man who builds and the man who waits. The builder lives. Now the waiter dies, hoping. You were taught that the key to success is delayed gratification, but the truth is, what gets delayed is not gratification. It is your vision, your death. If your entire life is based on a reward that comes only when you are too tired to enjoy it, you have been deceived. Do you want to know the truth about retirement? Here is the truth. Most people never get there. They die without escaping the wheel, and the few who do arrive come with a weak body, a light wallet, and a soul that has forgotten what it means to move with purpose. This does not have to be this way, but only if you are willing to break the lie today. Speak powerfully. I am not waiting for freedom. I am building it. Now I reject the retirement trap. My wealth begins today. The system rewards the silent third chapter. Schools produce not rich men, but obedient workers. You were not educated. You were conditioned. You were not freed. From the first day you stepped into a school, they were not preparing you to own your own life. They were preparing you to serve someone else's life. The school system produces not creators, but cogs. Think carefully, what did they teach you? Sit, be quiet, memorize, repeat. Obey, raise your hand to ask permission to speak. Wait your turn, learn the rules, follow instructions, get in line. Now ask yourself, how many of these lessons do you see in the lives of the rich? None of them, because no person became free by obeying the orders of others. The men who rose, Carnegie, Edison, Ford, they broke the line. They rejected the path laid before them. They thought, they dreamed, they questioned. They moved not with obedience, but with faith. Let me tell you about Thomas Edison. He was expelled from school. Teachers said he was unteachable, inadequate. They told his mother he could never learn. So what did he do? He brought light to the entire world, not because of a classroom, but because of faith, perseverance, and vision. And here is the great irony. The same system that rejected Edison now teaches about him. They celebrate his name, but they punish the spirit he lived. The truth is, schools do not teach wealth. They do not teach imagination. They do not teach faith. They teach order. They teach comfort. They teach dependence. They teach you a memorized script, never to write your own script. If you want to be rich, you must forget the way of thinking that made you poor. You must expel the wrong. You must expel the beliefs planted in you by people who were never free. You must question this path. You must think for yourself. Ask, why was I taught to fear mistakes more than mediocrity? Why was I never taught to generate income? Why did no one talk about definite purpose? Why were the laws of wealth, faith, autosuggestion, desire organized, planning removed from every curriculum? I will tell you why. Because obedient workers do not need wealth, they only need enough to survive and keep coming to work. This is not an attack on learning. This is a war against brainwashing. Education is powerful when it frees the mind, but when it only trains the hand, it becomes a prison. If you want to rise, you must retrain your thought. You must read what free people read. You must speak like the man you want to become, not like the man you were trained to be. You must ask the questions they never allowed you to ask: who benefits from my obedience? Who profits from my delay? Who taught me that my value is measured by grades, hours, or approvals? The moment you start questioning, you start building your way out. You were not born to follow instructions. You were born to give them. You were not created for desks and bells. You were created for vision and command. And if you are willing to reclaim your mind, you will reclaim your life. Now affirm with certainty. I think for myself. I question the path given to me. I was not born to follow instructions. I was born to give them. 4th chapter. A job is a temporary solution, not a permanent strategy. Now let us be honest, brutally honest. A job is not freedom. A job is not wealth. A job is not a plan. A job is a placeholder for a man who has not yet taken control of his own life. You were taught to believe that a job is security, but I tell you this is just a cage with polite walls. The world taught you to find a job, not to find a purpose. It taught you to seek paychecks, not plans. It taught you to settle for survival instead of building a life that commands respect and earns abundance. Understand this truth. A job can meet your urgent need, but it cannot fulfill your ultimate calling. If you do not have a clear, definite purpose, a job is like a coffin. It is the slow decay of potential hidden under the mask of duty. When you wake up, you start work. You clock in, you work all day. You clock in, and this cycle repeats. And somehow you forget that you were created for more. Am I saying, quit your job? No, but I am saying this: use your job the way free people use tools, not as a master, but as a means, as leverage, as financing for your freedom, not as a replacement for it. Let me tell you about Edwin C. Barnes. He did not hate his job. He worked as a clerk, but he had a single vision carved into his soul to partner with Thomas Edison. He worked not just for wages, but for purpose. He used his job to get into that room. And once he got into the room, he proved himself and left his job behind forever. This is how wealth is built, not by years of repetition, but by intention, determination, and strategy. The tragedy of modern man is not that he works hard. It is that he works hard without direction, without purpose, without a sense of ownership. And so he becomes a slave, not because of chains, but because of habit. Now listen to me. A job is noble only when it finances your freedom. If you are still working to survive, you are not free yet. If you are still waiting for a raise, building income streams, you are not free yet. If your days are filled with jobs that build someone else's dream and leave yours idle, you are not free yet, but you can be. The door is open, but you must stop kneeling before the illusion of security and stand up for the reality of ownership. Do not spend your entire life renting your time. Own your days, control your income, use your job. Do not let your job use you. Say this with faith. My job is not my identity. It is my tool. I use my job to build freedom. 5th chapter. The laws of the rich man are spiritual. First, let the world chase money, let them scramble for crumbs, let them sell their hours for money, their birthright for wages. I am speaking to you directly to you. You must understand what they do not understand. The laws that create wealth are spiritual. Before they are material, you cannot rise until you rise mentally. You cannot win until you believe you are worthy. You cannot command until you obey the laws that govern wealth, not laws written by men, but laws woven into the fabric of the universe. Behind every chance there is a divine law, and if you violate this law, money will break you. You were told that money comes from effort. I tell you, plainly, money comes from alignment. You must align your thought with your faith with your words with your action, and your action with your plan. This is the law. This is the order. This is the power. Look at the lives of the rich, not those born into wealth, but those who built it. Rockefeller gave tithes not from superstition, but from principle. He respected divine law. He believed that money was a trust. He built his empire not just on business, but on inner discipline. Andrew Carnegie surrounded himself with minds greater than his own, not because he was weak, but because he obeyed the mastermind principle. He believed that wealth is drawn to unity, to certainty, to mental harmony. Edison repeated the vision of electric light to himself, long before the world believed, while others mocked. He walked with certainty. He obeyed the invisible law of faith applied to a definite purpose. Now, do you understand? It is not work alone that creates wealth. It is faith. It is spiritual alignment. Faith is not religion. It is power. It is seeing the invisible as if it were visible. It is holding your vision with such intensity that the world must obey. And what about autosuggestion? The world calls it foolish repetition. The rich call it mental programming. They know that the subconscious must be told what to do, and what you tell yourself with emotion becomes instruction, and the subconscious executes what it is told. If you wake up every day and say defeat, delay, weakness, you have commanded poverty. If you wake up and declare faith, wealth, clarity, you have commanded victory and planning. Do you think wealth obeys the man who moves without a map? Never. Wealth is a general. It responds to organized attack. Write your purpose. Write your steps. Review every day. Adjust attack again. All of this faith certainty, repetition, planning is spiritual in nature, even before it becomes a dollar. This is why the poor man can work harder than the rich, and still stay poor, because while one works with muscle, the other works with mind. One sweats without direction, the other thinks certainty, and by law the man who thinks earns in 1 year what the other cannot earn in a lifetime of labor. You must master these laws, the law of definite chief aim, the law of faith through autosuggestion, the law of organized planning aligned to purpose, the law of the mastermind, the law of cosmic habit force that rewards not randomness, but only rhythm. These are not opinions. These are eternal laws. If you violate them, life will break you. If you obey them, the world will bow to you. You must live by inner command. You must rise before the world rises. You must speak your purpose aloud. You must write your instructions to yourself. You must review your plan and add rhythm to every hour. This is not spiritual chatter. This is the foundation of every empire. Wealth is not the reward of effort. It is the reward of obedience to law. 6th chapter, the habit system that creates financial slavery. If you want to understand slavery, stop looking at chains and start looking at habits, because no person wears shackles on their wrists anymore. They wear them in their routines. In this age, Slavery is imposed not by force, but by habit, by repetition, by a rhythm that has gone wrong. You wake up, you eat, you work, you rest, and you call this life. But I ask you, is this your life, or is this a life designed for you by other people who benefit from your blindness? The modern slave is not bound to a master. He is bound to a loop. And as long as this loop is not interrupted, it will take him to the grave, showing him nothing but obedience and exhaustion. The chains are in your habits. What time do you wake up? What thought enters your mind before the world speaks? Do you start the day by instructing yourself? Or do you check a device and follow the world's instructions? If your body rises, but your purpose sleeps, you are already a slave. Let us speak plainly. You cannot live like an ordinary person and expect extraordinary results. You cannot drift into wealth. You cannot spontaneously arrive at mastery. You must command it. And commanding requires rhythm, but it must be the right rhythm. The poor man wakes, late eats without thinking, consumes without producing, reacts without thinking, and repeats the same chaotic day for years. This is the habit system that leads to financial slavery. This is what makes it so dangerous. It feels normal, but the only reason it feels normal is that it is common and common. Slavery is still slavery. The difference is that slaves are now silent. They do not sing songs of sorrow. They just keep working, hoping and waiting for a reward that never comes. Now contrast this with the habits of the rich, not those rich by inheritance, but those who became rich by building. Andrew Carnegie woke early. He did not wait for orders. He gave orders, he planned his day. The night before, he spoke his goals aloud. He wrote letters of intention. He reviewed his progress every day, and he demanded the same from every person around him. Charles Schwab did not reach leadership by accident. He became a multimillionaire because he mastered organized rhythm. Every hour had a purpose. Every morning was planned. Every night was measured. He knew the law. You cannot multiply what you cannot measure. Thomas Edison tested an idea more than 1,000 times, not because he was lucky, but because he was structured. His repetition was not random. It was rhythmic. It was targeted. Now, ask yourself, what is your daily routine? Are you creating rhythm? Do you eat like a rich man? I am not talking about food. I am talking about thought. Are you consuming information that develops your purpose or distractions that destroy it? Do you speak like a rich man? Are your words definite, clear, goal-focused, and positive? Or are they vague, full of doubt and full of complaint? Do you act like a rich man? Is your day planned? Is your progress tracked? Do your actions serve a vision, or are they just responding to the needs of others? Do you think like a rich man? Have you developed the habit of directed thinking, or are you just reacting to the noise around you? You must audit your habits, because your habits are your destiny. Let me give you the model of the rhythm that builds wealth. This is what I teach everyone who wants to escape the slavery of the world. Morning command, wake before the world speaks. Say your definite leaders speak your goal aloud. Read your day plan. Repeat your wealth affirmations with emotion. Midday alignment review, progress according to plan. Say aloud, I am still on target. My purpose is fixed. My tempo is strong. Correct deviation with immediate and focused action. Evening evaluation measure. What happened? Completed. Write new lessons in your journal. Repeat your purpose aloud before falling asleep. Visualize success as if it is already yours. Repeat every day without fail, without excuse. This structure alone will begin to reprogram your subconscious, and your subconscious is the creator of all results. Do not take this lightly. Most people fail not from lack of intelligence, but from lack of rhythm. The law of cosmic habit force is not poetic. It is practical. It means that every repeated thought becomes a command. It means that every repeated action becomes a pattern. Every reinforced pattern becomes identity. And every identity produces results that match it. If you want wealth, you must create the habits of wealth. If you want power, you must create the rhythm of power. And if you want freedom, you must create the disciplines of a free man. And do not say you are too old. It is too late the moment you control your rhythm. Your life begins again. Repeat these affirmations every day. My habits build freedom or chains. I direct myself toward power every day. Now, write your daily rhythm. Apply it tomorrow and the next day. Next, do not skip. Do not delay. Do not procrastinate. Either you are adopting the habits of freedom or you are wearing the chains of slavery. 7th chapter, if you wait, you will serve those who do not wait. There is a law that few are ready to face, a law more sobering than failure and more expensive than ignorance. The one who waits serves the man who does not wait. The world never rewarded hesitation. It never crowned the cautious. It never surrendered to the man who delayed his wealth. Look around you. Look at every industry, every street, every corner of society, and you will find the same truth. Those who rule are not those who wait for permission. They are those who move when others pause, those who decide when others doubt, and those who take action while others are still searching for clarity. Wealth does not come to the intelligent. It does not come to the good. It does not come to the hopeful. It comes to the man who moves. It goes into the hands of the one who enters the storm, who decides under pressure, and who takes his share while others are still calculating the cost. Do you think life will give you time? Do you think so does opportunity? Wait. No one waits. And the one who waits becomes a worker for the one who does not wait. Abraham Lincoln, a man of great principles, but an even greater man of action, understood this law in the darkest hours of his leadership. He did not sit in endless consultations. He took action. When the nation was torn, he took action. Even when the outcome was uncertain, he kept moving forward. He issued the Emancipation Proclamation, not when it was safe, but when it was necessary. He did not wait for clarity. He created clarity through decision. Leaders do this. Free people do this. They take action, and the world adapts. Most people do not fail because they made the wrong move. They fail because they made no move at all. They wait for the economy to change, for the perfect plan to appear, for fear to disappear, for someone else to show them the way. But understand this, waiting is not neutral. Waiting is backward movement. Every day you delay. Another man takes action. Another man builds another man. Seizes the ground. You lost. And when years pass and your energy is spent, you will find yourself serving him. Because he was not better, he was not chosen. He took action. Let me say this plainly. Your delays will become your chains. And I know the voice that tries to excuse this. I am still researching. I am not ready. Yet I am being patient. Let me tell you something the rich understand and the poor ignore. Patience is a virtue only when combined with action. Patience without action is paralysis, and paralysis is death in disguise. Look at the rich. None of them waited. Carnegie started in poverty, but he took action while others feared risk. He began organizing steel production. Ford dared mass production. While others mocked the idea, Edison announced his inventions before they worked. because he understood. The law movement comes before manifestation. So what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for the economy to improve? While you wait, someone is creating their own economy. Are you waiting for more information? While you wait, someone with less intelligence is accumulating more wealth. Are you waiting for courage? Courage is not something you feel, it is something you decide. The tragedy is not that men fail. The tragedy is that they delay and delay and delay waiting until the life they wanted goes into someone else's hands. This is why I warn you as a man who has studied both failure and wealth. If you wait, you will work for the man who did not wait. If you hesitate, your children will serve the children of the man who did not wait. If you pause, your dream will be built by the man who did not wait. And your name will not be there. You may think you are being careful. But the law of the world is movement. Those who do not move are crushed, and no excuse will save you. I am not saying this to frighten you. I am saying this to wake you up. Time is now, the door is open, but it will not stay open forever. Say these words with me. Let them sink into your being while others wait. I take action. My speed creates my freedom. Do not let your habits be slow. Do not let your voice be hesitant. Do not let your life be a monument to what could have been. Move, decide, build now. 8th chapter. The man who refuses to serve becomes the man who commands. Now let us bring every law, every truth, and every warning to its ultimate conclusion. Identity. Because unless you transform who you are, no change in your habits, in your behavior will work. No change in your surroundings will be permanent. No matter what your income. This world does not obey the man who executes it, obeys the man who commands, and no person can command until he first refuses to serve. I am not talking about serving others because there is honor in building, in giving, in contributing. I am talking about slavery to fear, to routine, to wages, to mental chains. The man who wakes every morning only to serve someone else's vision, who never writes his own purpose, who waits for orders, who drowns in aimless tasks. That man is not free. That man is not fulfilled. That man is not a master. And I tell you, with the force of law, that man can be transformed. He must be transformed, or he will become what this system designed him to be, a worker until he dies, a consumer until he is depleted, a servant until he is forgotten. The turning point, the line between labor and leadership is this: self-government, not emotion, not desire, not even effort command. And this command starts with the mind. The man who masters himself no longer obeys the world obeys him. The market shifts to make room for his value. People align to his faith, money flows toward his side, because he moves toward it without hesitation. Now let me speak to you plainly. You can die as a worker, or you can rise as a leader. The difference is not money, it is thought discipline and determination. You were not born just to work. You were born to build. You were not born to receive instructions. You were born to direct. You were not born to comply. You were born to create. And if you are still breathing, if you are still hearing these words, this means it is not too late. But understand, this is the final door. You must pass through it, or you will live under it forever. What must you do first? Write your definite chief aim, not tomorrow now. Define who you are, what you want from life, how you will serve others through your purpose, and make it clear, bold, and written. Second, create daily command. Do not rely on motivation, rely on repetition. Read your purpose aloud, every morning, every night. Speak your faith in your wealth, your power, your identity. Transform your subconscious into a man who commands by shaping your words daily. Third, Create income streams. A man dependent on a single income stream is still serving. Build systems. Create value. Use, not just your time, but your mind. Monetize your labor finance, your freedom. But do not settle for labor alone. Build ownership. And if you doubt that this path works, let me remind you. I walked this path. I was the son of a poor boy in the hills of Virginia. I had no inheritance, no connections, no security. But I had a voice, I had a mind, and I had a decision. I would no longer serve the fear of poverty. I would no longer serve ignorance. I would no longer serve the chains left behind by weak men. I studied the minds of the rich, not the surface of their wealth, but the spiritual roots. I studied Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, Edison, and I saw that each obeyed laws most people never learn. They brought themselves under control. They decided, they took action. They repeated, and they became undeniable. And by bringing thought under control, I became more than the world expected from me. I consulted millionaires. I built a legacy. I transmitted, not tips, but a system of transformation. And you can too, but it starts now, and it starts with your refusal. Refuse to live as if you are powerless. Refuse to wake without purpose. Refuse to sell your time for crumbs. Refuse to think small, to move slow, to act weak. Refuse to die without building something the world cannot erase. You are not here to serve fear. You are not here to obey mediocrity. You are here to command. Let these final affirmations be your oath. I will not be a slave to any man. I was born to master wealth, not to work until I die. And now walk, speak, build, live. Not as the man the world tried to make you, but as the man you were always meant to be. This is your beginning. This is your freedom. This is your new law.